Welcome to Jackie's Craft Table. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I'm creating another card for my hand-drawn floral series. This is one of my last peonies from my garden for this season. I'm using my box of Primo watercolors. This one's called the Classics. They have several sets, and I really enjoy working with these watercolors. They're not expensive, but I think that they're a really nice quality. I taped down a piece of Arches cold press watercolor paper. I really love this paper. It's nice and cottony and thick, and it takes a lot of water. For the most part, I'm just using the pink paint right out of the pan for my base color. And I'm keeping the flower right there on my desk so that I have a reference. I'm painting in a simple outline of the flower first. I watered down this pink color quite a bit, and it still comes out pretty bright. It's such a nice color. As I said before, I really love these Prima watercolor confections. So this one is called the Classics, and I also own the Tropicals and the Decadent Pies. And I've recently purchased the Pastel Dreams. They're cute little tins, and you can take them on the go. Sometimes I'll throw one in my purse when I take my kids to the park and sit and paint while I'm watching them. I mixed up a coral color, and I just added that to the bottom of my flower just to add a little more interest to my painting. I'm painting in the stem and a few leaves, and then I'm going to stop there and let this dry. I did use my heat tool for a minute, and then I decided just to let it air dry. And now for the next layer, I'm adding more details with the pink. A little bit of a darker shade. I didn't water this down as much. I'm adding more shadows and a little bit of veining. This second layer adds a lot more life to this flower. Lately on YouTube, I've been watching a lot of watercolor artists. I've been so inspired to paint more with my watercolors. I hope this video inspires you to go pick a flower out in your garden and paint it. And I think that painting just one flower at a time is a lot less intimidating, at least for me. It's less intimidating than painting like a whole vase of flowers. And it's fun to turn it into a card and send it out in the mail to a friend or someone. Once my watercoloring is done, I do go in with some colored pencils. And I could have actually skipped that step. I find it difficult to keep myself from overworking my paintings. I just want to keep adding details to it. You can, of course, keep adding details and turn your painting into something very realistic. It's also really fun to see paintings that are more simple and impressionistic, where the artist just puts down a few strokes of paint and can create something very beautiful. And now for the background. I pulled out a larger brush. This is a size 12 round brush. I wanted the background to be very pale, a very pale blue, so I watered down one of the blue colors from this palette. I don't want there to be any hard lines, so I'm working fast and keeping my paper wet until I get all of the color down. I'm trying not to touch the pinks or the greens of my flower so that it doesn't bleed into the blue background. Once this is completely dry, I'm going to pull off my tape. I'm saving this tape so that I can reuse it. This is very nice tape, and I find that I can reuse it several times before it loses its tackiness completely. I'll have all of the links to the supplies I used to make this card over on my blog. I'm trimming my panel down so that it measures 5 1/4 by 4. And then I'm going to place this in my mini MISTI so that I can stamp out a sentiment. I don't want to mess up at this point, so that's where the mini MISTI comes in handy. It also allows me to restamp this several times. This paper is very textured, so I do end up stamping it a lot. Now, I've had this tool in my stash for a long time. This is the first I've used it. A friend of mine gave it to me. This is called a paper distresser. I'm not a big fan of distressing my cards. I thought it would make this card look more vintagey and fun. I'm going to mat this panel with a piece of pink cardstock. I also cut out a faux stitched frame to put around this flower. I couldn't decide what color to use. I ended up using gray, but I had already cut out a pink frame, so I just glued them together to add a little bit of dimension to my frame. I'm going to mount this on a white card base. I'm out of my Gina K Connect glue, so I'm just using some Tombow liquid adhesive to adhere everything together. To decorate the inside, I'm using an old stamp I've had in my stash, and this is just a block of text. I want to continue with the vintage feel on the inside of my card. So I'm going to trim down this block of text. And I also pulled out some dark pink scraps of cardstock, and I'm just going to glue those onto the corner of my card. I'm going to trim those down with a pair of long, sharp scissors, and that completes my card. I hope you've enjoyed this card video. I also hope I've inspired you to put away your stamps, pull out your paints, and create something unique and beautiful. Thanks for watching. Bye.